Hello, my name is Lynn Lantier. I'm a program officer at the Conseil des Arts et des Lettres du Québec. The purpose of this webinar is to better equip artists to apply for a grant. The information found in this webinar applies to the Grant to Individual Artist program, but it can also apply to the other programs such as Vivacité or to the various regional art agreements.
Hello, my name is André Faleiros. I'm also a program officer. Before applying for a grant at the Conseil des Arts et des Lettres du Québec, it's very important to read carefully the program description and identify the right component before submitting your application. You can also read the Q&A section and watch the program description video also found in our website. Please make sure that you read the list of eligible projects and eligible fees before submitting your application.
The Grant to Artists program has no deadline, meaning you can apply anytime when you are ready. Same goes for the Vivacité program. Other grant programs may have deadlines, so you need to verify if that's the case for each one. Depending on the program or component that you apply for, you may be required to submit an application 4 weeks prior to the beginning of your project or 3 months before the beginning of your project. Again, this must be verified. Past expenses are not eligible. Only expenses from the beginning date of the project and on forward are eligible. It can take up to 4 months to receive an answer. It can be shorter, but the longest time that it will take is 4 months. You can also apply in French or in English. And remember that once you file an application, it cannot be modified. You cannot add elements, make corrections, add support material. It is technically impossible to make any modification.
Thank you, Lynn. I will describe now briefly the role of the program officers, the role of jury members, and how the jury deliberation occurs. Program officers' role is to ensure that grant applications are eligible. First, we verify the eligibility of the artist. If you are a professional artist, if you are based in Quebec, and if you already have produced and diffused one of your works. After, we verify the project eligibility in the discipline and component which it was submitted. The program officer is responsible for coordinating the activities surrounding the jury and to ensure that the evaluation process is carried through in accordance with the Conseil des Arts et des Lettres standards. Note that the program officer cannot take position on a project that is under assessment and cannot participate in the decision make to recommend which projects will be supported. Jury members are chosen among professionals with more than 5 years of experience, and jury members have to declare if they have any conflict of interest with any of the artists to be evaluated. If it is the case, they will not evaluate that particular file and nor will see the results of that evaluation. Gender, generation, cultural diversity, and representation from different provincial geographic regions are required in each jury to ensure equity in the decision making. Each jury members evaluate all the applications separately, and at the jury, all the results are put together to determine the ranking of the projects and identify the applications that should be financed. Not all the projects will necessarily be discussed during the jury. Jury members will decide among all the projects which projects are to be discussed according to their artistic quality. You can be part of a jury. You can manifest your interest by contacting any of the program officers depending on the discipline. It's good to remember that you can submit up to 5 grant applications per fiscal year in any of the programs, but you can have only 3 active applications simultaneously. This means that if you already have a grant that is already finished, you must submit your grant report before submitting new applications.
I will now go over a few tips for writing a grant application. Writing a grant application requires time, reflection, and personal investment. The exercise of writing a grant application can be a useful tool to structure one's thinking. When writing your project description, talk about where you come from, your artistic journey, your approach to your work, and what you hope to accomplish with this project. Talk in a simple and clear, precise language. Ask yourself these questions. What's my project? What is it about? How will it unfold and what will the results be or look like? Whom is this project for? How does this project fit into my artistic approach? Who will be my collaborators and participants? What will be their role in the project? Why did I choose them? What will be the expected benefits of the future of the project? The description of your project should be concise and clear. It's important to articulate your project goals for a good understanding while avoiding repeating the information. The project must be convincing and should make the jury members want to see the final result.
Jury members will evaluate the artistic quality of your project, but we also evaluate the feasibility of your project. So budget and time scale sections are very important. The time scales section allow you to present your working methodology. It's therefore very important to specify the different stages of your project by presenting each stage of the project per task, per month, per week, depending on your needs. Budget must be detailed, broken down, and balanced. A balanced budget has no surplus or nor deficit. In other words, the total revenues equal the total expenses. For better understanding, it's possible to give additional information about the budget in the actual description of your project. No worries, you can use the same expense category several times if you need. Also, it's very important to describe how your team is going to work. Who is a participant artist? Who is a collaborator? Artists are composer, performers, light, costume or set design, etc. And collaborator are supporting team members as riggers, consultants, technicians, etc. In case of a collective, one of the artists of the collective must submit the grant application and will be responsible for the grant final report. This application will receive the T4 for the full amount of the grant, and so it's important to keep all the receipts for the final report and for income tax purposes. Also, one of the objectives of the CALC is to ensure that artists have a good remuneration for their projects. So compensation fees must be fair, reflect to the talent, skill, and number of hours worked by each participant or collaborator, including yourself, of course. The Conseil des Arts et des Lettres du Québec does not provide a fee scale. It's up to you to determine that, and you can refer to association groups or peers to establish the various participants' fees.
You will be asked to supply a CV or resume for yourself and for the participants to your project. A good resume or CV should be no longer than 3 pages. It should focus on the professional artistic training, experience, and achievements. You may also supply a press kit. It is not required, it is optional. A press kit is a selection of texts, previews, reviews, and preferably you should submit a complete article, not simply a quote or a paragraph. If you include links to web pages, make sure that these links will stay functional for the duration of the grant assessment process. Support material is paramount. Depending on the artistic discipline, the material that you are required to supply will vary. This material should be of the highest quality and well documented. It must capture the attention of the jury. It's a space that is offered to the candidate to showcase his artistic work, past artistic work, or work in progress. Depending on the discipline, the material will differ. For example, you may supply images, up to 15 images. In the case of audio material, you can supply up to 15 minutes. Same thing for video, up to 15 minutes, and a maximum of 3 excerpts. It's important to describe the support material and to indicate the role of the applicant in each excerpt. Again, you must make sure if you supply links that these remain functional throughout the assessment process. In a performing arts application, the candidate must present a maximum of 3 excerpts of works totaling no more than 15 minutes in length, or 15 images. In the case of a manuscript, the maximum pages is 25 and it should be submitted in a PDF format. In the case of video support material, editing should be avoided, such as music videos, demo reels, close-ups, or special effects, because they do not allow the jury to assess the work of the performer, the staging of the play, or the choreography. It's important to specify the role of the candidate in each excerpt, be it performer, choreographer, composer, and how to recognize the candidate if there are several artists present in the video.
For music and songwriting, a maximum of 3 excerpts from works related to the project totaling no more than 15 minutes and or a maximum of 3 excerpts from previous produced works are accepted. For songwriting, a maximum of 5 lyrics or a synopsis of a musical are acceptable. Film, video, and digital arts also have specific requirements regarding the support material. No more than 15 minutes, but you can submit up to 3 different links. And for the visual arts, it's possible to present up to 15 different images. If you submit your website, the jury will evaluate only the first page of your website. So if you present 15 images, it's better to present the images each separately, not all in the same document. And if you have extended experience, you should present work from the last 5 to 10 years to help the jury evaluate the evolution of your work. In literature, it's the same, up to 25 pages in a PDF format, or 15 minutes if you submit video excerpt. But you can submit an example of the writing of the work to come, or at least an example of the text written in the same literary genre as the work to come. Make sure the links work for the whole evaluation process.
In conclusion, it's important to invest the required time in preparing your grant application. Read the program guidelines. Make sure you're applying in the right program, in the right component, and that your project is eligible. Become familiar with the eligible activities, the eligible expenses. Ask someone to read your project before submitting it. Remember that once you submit your project, nothing can be changed. You cannot add documentation, you cannot modify it, you cannot make corrections. It's technically impossible. Various resources are available to help artists with their grant writing. Artist associations, service organizations, regional cultural councils offer help and information as well as grant writing workshops. Take a look at our annual report appendices. You will find a list of all the grants awarded in any given program, the amounts awarded to whom, and who sat on the various programs' juries. Stay informed by registering to receive the Calc newsletter. Thank you for your attention and good luck with your grant writing.
Thank you, everyone. We are looking forward to read your application grants. Thank you.